Today, we're confronting the ugly truth about Project 2025, the blueprint for the most radical defunding of law enforcement in American history. Project 2025 is more than a political agenda. It's a direct attack on the very foundation of our nation's security. They're not just tinkering with the system, they're tearing it down, brick by brick. And what they plan to replace it with should terrify us all. We must absolutely resist Project 2025. Before we dig into the depths of this madness, make sure you're subscribed and staying informed. The stakes have never been higher, and every voice matters in this fight.
Project 2025 would defund the police on a greater scale than ever before proposed. We must resist Project 2025. Starting on page 133, it says, our primary recommendation is that the President pursue legislation to dismantle the Department of Homeland Security. On page 136, it suggests a key first step for the Secretary to improve front office functions is to have his or her own dedicated team of political appointees to help ensure the completion of the next president's agenda. DHS is the largest federal law enforcement agency. Approximately 80,000 officers would be fired with its dismantling. Project 2025 would defund the police in favor of political appointees to further a president's partisan agenda.
Joining me today is Kimber Watson, a local activist who's seen the dangers of political overreach up close. Kimber, thanks for being here.
John, thanks for having me back. This has been really a great topic for us, and I'm really excited to get started.
Outstanding. Well, let's start with the Department of Homeland Security and what Project 2025 aims to do with it. It's right here on the screen. I'll read it out here for you in the top. Our primary recommendation is that the President pursue legislation to dismantle the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. What do you think? What do you think this is going to happen here? I mean, what is the worst that could possibly happen with us losing the Department of Homeland Security? Are we going to turn into the Wild West?
Well, we need to remember why the Department of Homeland Security was created in the first place. It was created after 9/11 in order to protect our borders from terrorists. And if they take that away, there's several things that'll happen. One is we won't be protected as well as we are from the terrorists. And there's a possibility we could have another incident like we did on 9/11. The other thing is that, they scream about the border all the time, but yet they want to take away the security for the border. How much sense does that make? It just makes no sense at all.
It makes none. It's absolutely zero. They're crying about law and order, and yet they want to dismantle and get rid of 80,000 officers.
And they want, and they want to install people that there are their own people, which is really scary because if we go back to 2017 when Trump took office and fired James Comey, one of the things that James Comey had said was that he didn't want to bow down to Donald Trump because that's not what he was supposed to do. And one of the things that they're looking for is somebody that's going to be there for the president, a yes man for the president, kind of like the DOJ. When Barr came into the scene, he was a yes man all the way up until January 6th, and then he became a no man. It doesn't make any sense why they would want to tear apart our whole government, which protects the people. And if we stop protecting the people, we're just going to end up turning into a country like Korea with Kim Jong-un. And I think that's kind of what Trump really wants. If he gets back into the presidency, he always said he wanted his army to be like Kim Jong Un's army, where they were like there for him and would do whatever his bidding is. And that's what Trump's been looking for all along. And the people who created the document are from Trump's administration, which is even scarier because they already know what Trump wants to do. And all they did was they took Agenda 47, cleaned it up a little bit, and then put in some more draconian, I guess is the word. I'm not really sure.
That's a really good word for it.
Yeah. So during COVID, it was all these people that like are Trump supporters were screaming about their freedoms. Oh, I should be free, not have to wear a mask. You know, it was selfish on a lot of people's part.
Showing up
However,
at all the school board meetings and causing chaos there
yeah,
too.
right.
Oh my God, these people were
Sorry,
just
hold on. Sorry.
insane. No, we're good. He's got something to say.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we were under lockdown, and um, you know, people were complaining, "Oh, I have to wear a mask. That's taking away my freedom." What these people don't understand is Project 2025 will further take away their freedoms. That's what scares me more than anything is how they want to change everything. They want everybody to be there just to do the president's bidding. And they want to tear apart very important programs that we've had for many, many years that protect the people. I mean, we're talking the DOJ, the DHS, EPA, OSHA, things like that. They want to just recreate us and take us, like I said, back, back to a different time. And we don't want to go back. We want to go forward. And that's what's the most important thing is going forward. Because if we go backwards, it's going to be, you know, they started already. They started taking away women's rights to choose. Um, and if they took away that right, pretty soon they're going to take away our right to vote. They're
Oh,
going, you know, it's just
absolutely.
going to keep going on and on and on. And I think that's why it's really important that we're drawing attention to this project,
Absolutely.
um, you know, so that we can try to protect our democracy. But
Oh,
this,
yeah.
yeah, this election this year is so different than any election that I've ever seen in my entire life. And if we don't make the right choice, we're all going to lose everything that we value in this country: freedom of religion, education. They want to tear everything apart, dismantle everything.
This is insane.
I mean,
Do you find it ironic that one of the targets of this, besides the Department of Justice and Homeland Security, is the Department of Education? Um, Donald Trump loves the undereducated,
mm,
because the undereducated are easily duped. And that's the plan. They want to dumb down America. They want to dumb down our kids because the plan is that our kids, all the poor kids and people who don't have the money to go to their Ivy League schools and their private schools where they send their kids,
mm,
our kids are going to be their servants in the future. That's their plan. They want our kids to be their working force while they sit back and make the rules for everybody else.
mhm.
And and if they do this, we won't it will change the face of the country forever. And it's absolutely something that we must be fighting against every single day.
That's true. That's very true, John. And you know, one of the things that concerns me, or one of the things I keep saying to people, is this election isn't about what party you belong to. It's about protecting our country, protecting our right to vote, our right to freedom of religion, um, and basically saving our democracy. We're coming up on 250 years. 250 years. It's almost 250 years since they uh, signed the Constitution, since the Constitution was put into place. And they want to just erase it all like it never happened. When Trump said, you know, vote for me this time, but in 4 years you won't have to vote for me again because we will fix it. Not quoting him 100%, but it was along those lines. That that statement alone scared the daylights out of me
It should.
because
It should scare
yeah,
every single one of us. And we should all be replaying that every day because there is a plan in place and there are people that he's already got lined up to carry out his will. And shutting down law enforcement agencies is not going to contribute to the safety of our country. It's not going to provide any benefit for the people who live in this country. It's going to put us at danger, in a dangerous place. And why? To do the will of a wannabe dictator. Eliminating the Department of Homeland Security and firing 80,000 federal workers is absolutely insane. And we will talk about the impact of that in our next segment. This isn't just some bureaucratic shuffle. The Department of Homeland Security is the largest federal law enforcement agency. What happens when its 80,000 officers are removed from the equation? Kimber, how do they justify this? You know, on one hand, they're claiming to defend the blue, protect law and order, and on the other, they're gutting the system from within.
you know, John, that's the scary part. If you think about January 6th, how were they protecting the blue on January 6th? What's even worse is that Trump is talking about these as far as I'm concerned, they're terrorists who marched on our Capitol. And what is the word is he calls them? He says they're I can't think of the word now.
Hostages?
Yeah, well, they're hostages, but they were good people. They, how many police officers were killed or hurt on January 6th? I mean, and that was a terrorism that came from within the country.
Indeed.
You know, and um, the way the way forward is to try to find a way to protect the people that protect us, uh, the police, the people in blue, the DOJ. We have to protect all of these entities because if we don't and they take them away, we're just going to be back like England was back in the day before um, they had the I can't think of the name. Yeah,
The
sorry,
monarchy?
I'm drawing blank. No, I'm. What's the House of no the House?
Oh, the parliament?
Yeah, Parliament. Yeah. So okay, Parliament. Yes, let's talk about that. Think about this. When the Declaration of Independence was written, okay, why was it written? To get and break away from a mad king who, what did he want to do? He wanted to control America. They were taking over people's homes. His soldiers would go in and they would take over people's homes. There was like no protections for anybody back in that day because it was whatever the English officers wanted, that's what they did. You know, it's just like history has shown us way back. If you look at the history of Europe, all these little wars that they had for over religion and trying to force people into religions, and then people come to America, and then we put the Constitution together, and people have freedoms. They have all these freedoms. They're not being dictated to by a king or any kind of monarchy. But this 2025 wants to change it all and put it back.
It wants to take us back. It wants to erase every amount of progress that we have made over the last couple of centuries
Mhm.
and subvert our Constitution, dismantle our democracy, further oppress the oppressed, and remove any type of rule or regulation that could hold them accountable for doing it.
Right, exactly. And then let's talk about this for a second, because if you really think about it, what just happened in the courts this year with the immunity clause from the Supreme Court, it just opened the door for the next conservative president to do whatever the heck they want under their presidency, which means that the people won't be protected at all. And I don't think people really understand, or like you said before, it's like Trump is trying to get people to be dumbed down. It's not just Trump, it's the whole conservative movement that's going on right now.
You know,
I
you're
mean,
absolutely right.
as a
Um,
writer, yeah.
when the long lines start and the folks are standing in line for food and the stores are sold out, then they will see um, what they have sown. Because it's going to be chaotic. And talking about that, I do have a clip that I'd like to show you, all about what it could look like for the Department of Homeland Security being dismantled and how that would affect our future.
Major headline, the government shutdown, and the TSA saying so many workers are now calling out because of financial issues. The agency says they are now in uncharted territory. They're issuing a warning about the impact at major airports. And on day 30 of the standoff, the Democrats have already said no deal to President Trump's latest offer. ABC's Lana Zach is at Reagan National outside of Washington.
Tonight, the TSA telling ABC News the agency is now in uncharted territory as the number of employee call-outs keep increasing because of the government shutdown, now in day 30. TSA implementing contingency plans, trying to avoid scenes like these in Atlanta last week from repeating themselves in even more airports.
It's demoralizing because you go to work and you expect, pay for hard work, and you wake up and your bank account's empty.
On Saturday, 8% of all TSA employees did not show up for work, mostly for financial reasons, hitting hard as many of the nation's largest airports like New York's JFK and Chicago's O'Hare.
How long can I go without a paycheck? It's pretty much, I'm in like no man's land.
The hardships faced by TSA agents, an echo of the nearly 800,000 federal workers at agencies like the Coast Guard, Secret Service, FDA, either furloughed or working without pay. This weekend, President Trump offering what he calls a reasonable compromise to end the shutdown, extending protections for some undocumented immigrants for 3 years in exchange for $5.7 billion for his border wall. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling the offer a non-starter, slamming it for not including a permanent solution for Dreamers. And while the fight stretches on, the TSA vowing that they will not compromise security standards.
We can't expect TSA's folks to be indentured servants. I mean, they've shown tremendous resilience, but this can't continue. And at a certain point in time, maybe a couple of weeks from now, I expect to see the sick outs increase until things go exponential. And that's going to be a shutdown of the U.S. airline system.
So, are we ready for a shutdown of the airlines across America?
No, I don't think so. I think it's watching that video just like brought back so many memories of what it was like in 2020.
Exactly.
We have to remember who these people are. Okay. The likes of Ted Cruz, when they first came in, they were like the Tea Party, right? But the Tea Party isn't any different than the MAGA Party.
Yeah,
It's
just
the same.
rebranded
Yeah,
Diet Coke
yeah.
and New Coke.
Right. And the thing is they're a party that they like chaos. And all this is going to create chaos. This is going to create more chaos. We have seen since Donald Trump has come into effect how much chaos he creates. I'm like, I will be so glad when I can turn on the TV and I don't have to hear anything about Donald Trump ever again. But let's think about this for a second. There was a report that came out not too long ago that said that by a certain year, and I can't quote it exactly, however, but that the people of white descent, Caucasians, whatever you want to call us, um, will become the minority, if that makes any sense.
I remember reading something about that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like that what they're driven by fear. But their fear that they're driven by is an America that is not all white. And I'm sorry, I'm a white girl, but you know what, dude? That is just like totally wrong.
White and
It's,
Christian
yes, exactly.
and
You know?
Republican on top of
Oh yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. Can't forget that. But
Drive a
you know,
big pickup truck, got
right.
full of Joe Biden wrapped up. How many thousands of dollars have they spent on that kind of nonsense? And now it's,
Oh, I
you
know.
know,
Yeah, it's
going
just
out of business
ridiculous.
sales.
I mean, can't you guys find something that's a little more reasonable to go after?
Something that would
Um,
resonate with the American people a little bit more. Maybe like raising Social Security for seniors, cutting the price of prescriptions, saving the planet. Are these things too much to ask? Oh my
right,
God.
exactly. Healthcare for all. I mean,
Exactly.
but they want us to be like Korea. That's exactly. Think about this, Korea, or even like there's so many things that are happening right now that are so resemblant to World War II and Hitler, which that's even scarier.
I think
Because
you hit on something there.
yeah, I mean, people keep going, well, why did they, compare Trump to Hitler? Well, it's obvious. It's totally obvious. I mean,
Well, I
Hitler
mean,
started.
J.D. Vance even called him America's Hitler. I mean, this is what he's this is exactly what his vision for America is, and those who oppose his tyrannical rules. We are all going to be put in camps and
Right.
separated. We are going to be the ones who are going to get punished for standing up against his craziness if he gets elected, because all of these people are being put in place to carry out his heinous plan, and it doesn't include us. The pursuit of happiness does not include us.
No, it includes the top 1%. That's
Exactly.
what it includes. Doesn't include anybody else. It also includes anybody that's white. I'm sorry, but white and straight. Um, and that's a really scary time. If we don't have somebody taking care of our protections, then this whole country's going to fall. That's basically what's going to happen. And it scares the daylights out of me. I like knowing that I can call police anytime and they will protect me. But if they defund it, who am I going to call? I'm a single woman living in this country in a county that's pretty red. Partly, I guess. I don't know. But the thing is that I want to be protected. And if I can't pick up the phone and call the police because it's been defunded, then who's going to protect me? I
That
can't just do it. Yeah.
Who is going to protect us is the question indeed. Which brings us to the conclusion of our segment. I want to say thanks for joining us today, Kimber. Do you have any a final parting word to tell our viewers?
Just I think that I just really want to drive home that this is not about being Republican. It's not about being a Democrat this election. It's about saving democracy and protecting the country and its people from the madness of this document of the Project 2025.
Indeed.
Yeah, we really need to protect our democracy and the people within the country, and the only way to do that is to make sure that we vote for the one person who is going to make sure that all people are included. They will make sure that our government runs the way it's supposed to. They will make sure that our men in blue are funded the way they need to be. But they won't tear apart our DHS, and that's what's important. If we want to protect America, if we want to be free in America, if we want to be able to have all the rights that have been afforded to us, then we need to make the right choices. And it's not about what party you belong to. It's about saving our Constitution and our democracy.
Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us. This isn't about defunding the police. It's about destroying the very fabric of our democracy and replacing it with something dark, something dangerous. Folks, we can't let that happen. Visit turnleftpac.org to join the fight against Project 2025. We can defeat Project 2025 if we actively resist it together. Project 2025 would fire our boys in blue in favor of political appointees to further a president's partisan agenda. What's the worst that could happen when the rule of law is null and void? Everything.